Nice river, huh?
Yeah. We could use a few more of these out west. Fries a bone out there.
Hello? Hello, it's Berger. Come in.
Go for Clark.
Any sign of them?
Not yet.
Well, what's taking so long?
Running late, I guess. Still upriver.
Running late. That's great. It's just great.
We get anything from put in?
Said they left free and clear.
I don't like it.
Should have been here by now. Chief, I had a problem. GPS has gone tits up.
No signal?
No.
Right, Maple one down, Maple one down. Go, go, go.
Code red, I repeat, Maple 1 is down. Code red, Maple 1 is down.
What the hell's going on? Someone tell me what the hell is going on!
Sarstedt, get the helicopter in the air now. Get those float boats out there now. Go! Go!
I got no signal here. I need a boat! Someone give me a goddamn boat!
We're going to have to interrupt our program at this point and take you to our national desk for some breaking news. Colin?
Thank you, Robert. Just received a report from northern Quebec. And I should stress that one of my boats were torn.
See what's going on? Excuse me. I don't know yet. We have someone on site.
Here now.
Focus on what you're seeing.
I don't know. I don't know. They got a body. They got a stretcher.
Hey, Christy, just calm down, okay? Tell me what's going on.
They just brought me these. Oh, Christ.
Who did they bring in?
The canoe. It's a guide. I don't even know.
We don't care about the damn river guy. Tell us about the boss.
I don't know. I don't know.
There has been no official comment from authorities, and we are still waiting for a spokesman to
Jesus,
clarify.
I was just with him.
Good evening. There has been an accident in northern Quebec involving Prime Minister McLaughlin.
There was a third person on the boat. A female, name of Mansell. Her body's yet to be recovered.
And the Prime Minister?
He was airlifted to Fort Rupert. Condition critical. We're waiting.
Inform the whip and the House Leader, and let me know when the Cabinet has assembled. I'll call Rito and inform the Governor General.
The details are slow in coming, but what we can tell you at this point is that emergency crews, both land and water, have been dispatched.
We break away now for a news bulletin.
I have just been informed that Matthew McLaughlin, our 23rd Prime Minister, has been pronounced dead on arrival at 1834 Eastern Standard Time at the Sacré-Cœur Hospital in Fort Rupert. The tragic accident that claimed his life is presumed to have also taken the life of Madeleine Mansell, a prominent Ottawa lawyer. A spokesman for the Prime Minister's office issued a statement expressing profound sorrow and assuring the nation that there will be a smooth transition of power to Marc Lavigne, the Deputy Prime Minister.
Please convey to the Governor General that I'm ready. Reluctant and sorrowful, but officially ready.
As yet, there is no comment from the Prime Minister's immediate family. A family that is no stranger to tragedy. Their daughter Margaret died 10 years ago. He is survived by Julia, his wife of 42 years.
He is also survived by his son Thomas, who is currently serving with the World Court in The Hague.
I slaughtered 900 people. It must be a... What are the results of the autopsy?
Sir,
The woman who was with them, Mansell.
Can you
what
confirm if Mr. Jackman was, in fact, a member of the armed
Will
services?
you all please kindly shut up? I will not be responding directly to questions regarding our investigation. I can tell you we'll be undertaking a comprehensive review of security procedures and protocol. I assure you this review will be impartial. It will be intensive, and it will yield answers. As of this moment, our forensic investigation team is on site. This unit will be led by Sergeant Leah Collins, an 11-year veteran with forensic tours in Kosovo, Afghanistan, and Haiti.
Figured it'd be you.
Got any photos? Anything in situ? All right, how about this woman, this Mansell?
Dive team is still searching.
Anything I should know about her?
Officially, she was Christy Berger's girlfriend.
And unofficially, she was banging the big guy, huh? And you just left them alone?
I'm a romantic. Jesus Christ. Come on, Leah, she was vetted. Environmental lawyer, a real tree hugger type with nothing in her sheet, and she was the PM's request. What am I gonna say, no?
All right. What about this guide, this Jackman?
He's hypothermic, but he'll survive. They airlifted him to Rupert.
Anything in his BG?
Duguay will give you that. He's the local SDC. Hey. I'm sunk here, huh?
Well, that's up to the review board, but if I were you, I'd get a hobby. So I understand you know this river guide, Jackman.
Nothing much to tell. Ex-army, family guy, 2 kids, not much money, but he knew this river. Yep. Okay. Jackman's coming around.
Just through the chute is an S-turn. Actually, Pry left. PM levers his paddle with the gunnel. I mean, he ratchets it down really hard and it snaps.
The paddle?
Right. Well, I sweep right to hold the line while I pass the spare up to him.
And Miss Mansell wasn't paddling?
Oh, yeah. Lily dipping. Anyway, she passes the paddle to him blade end first. Oh, man, it was all my fault.
You gotta focus here, Teddy, okay?
Well, he drops it, grabs for it. I should have braced the canoe, but it all happened so fast. Boom, we're in the water. I grabbed for him, but he was gone.
I'm gonna ask you to take a polygraph. You okay with that?
We're just looking for clarity here.
Oh, yeah, I don't have a problem with that. Bring it on.
Water in the lungs and stomach, over distension of the pulmonary alveoli, subpleural bullae hemorrhage.
Did you weigh the heart?
Of course. Why do one test when I can get paid for 3? I checked the femur for diatoms. The distribution was even and systemic.
Diatoms? What's that?
It's a one-celled organism that enters the bloodstream through the lungs. If his heart was beating when he hit the water, there'd be diatoms in his bone marrow.
And you found them. So he drowned.
You have 63 unheard voice messages. First message.
Tom, I'm so sorry.
Before we go to Rideau Hall and the official swearing-in of Marc Lavigne, I would like to turn to Jeffrey Kingman. Jeff, Marc Lavigne's career path has been unconventional, to say the least.
Very much so. In his early years, he was an ardent separatist. Then he jumped ship and entered the federal ranks. He's a man whose intelligence is as fierce as his passion.
Indeed, he's a firebrand. And he's about to become this country's next prime minister.
I, Marc Lavigne,
Do solemnly and sincerely promise and swear that I will truly and faithfully.
Still no sign of the Manziel woman?
Yeah, to get here, sir. Yeah, we found a life jacket, but no sign of the body yet. That river is full of sinkholes, so she'll surface eventually.
So what we have here is a drowning. Tragic, but accidental nonetheless.
Is that our official position, sir?
We have no official position, Sergeant. What we have is a state funeral and an internal review, for which we need a lot of answers, which means we have a lot of T's to cross and I's to dot, which is why I need you here in Ottawa.
Thank you, sir. Okay.
What? Wasn't there a guy one time, I don't know who, he said there are no accidents in politics?
I think it was Roosevelt.
Which one, the one with the big stick?
No, the one with the wheelchair. Nice working with you.
Same here.
And the dignitaries continue to arrive at the Basilica on Sussex Drive, among them the U.S. delegation led by President Monroe. The white-haired gentleman is, of course, Randall Spear, the media baron. We take you now to the motorcade as it makes its way to the Basilica.
I gotta get some air.
I assume you're seeing what I'm seeing. This is quite a breach of protocol, is it not?
Yes, it is, Brenda. But that's Tom McLaughlin, a man who has followed his own path. He's a Rhodes Scholar, a divorcee. He's pursued a career in law and lived something of a peripatetic life. He's a bit hard to pin down, actually. On the one hand, he's defended big tobacco, and on the other hand, he's prosecuted war criminals at the World Court.
"27 years ago, my father articulated a theme that would inform his long and eminent public life. Service. I'm sorry. I have no doubt these words are heartfelt, but I didn't write them. And I'm not sure that I'm... The truth is, I have no idea why my father entered politics. Whatever his initial reasons, however, I know that they changed, and I know this because I was there to see them change. Ironically, it was on a canoe trip. I was not an easy teenager. And my mother insisted that my father take me on a paddle down the Great Nahanni River, thinking it might shake me into line, which it did. But as much as it shook me, it rattled my father to the bone. One night we sat on the bank of the river and we watched this herd of caribou moving through the valley. And this impossibly huge sun was setting. This equally huge moon was rising. And I looked at my father and I could see that he was crying, and I said, Why are you crying? And he said, because this is ours. All of this is part of our country. And we carried that moment, my father and I. we carried that. And from that point on, whenever he was presented with the question, what is Canada? My father never had to search for an answer because he knew. He knew that the question itself is the answer.
Is your name Teddy Jackman?
Yes, my name is Teddy Jackman.
And to those who live among us, and they do live among us, who would say, what is so rare about this nation that we should struggle to preserve it? My father would say, for shame. For shame. And he would buy them a ticket on an airplane or a train or a bus or a boat. Or he himself would drive them to another country so they can look back at their own nation and see it for what it is. See it for its singular beauty. Because we are like the river. We're always moving. And we are not set in stone, because even the hardest of stones cannot endure. And the only thing that does endure is change. The ever-whirling wheel of change. And we are not finished. We are not nearly finished. We are not remotely finished. No, sir, we are not finished.
The Internal Review expects to hear from Teddy Jackman, the
Meanwhile,
only
Tom
survivor.
McLaughlin's eulogy has prompted an outpouring of sentiment nationwide. as his
McLaughlin
words
struck
seem
a deep emotional chord. That's just the kind of political gold campaigners have wet dreams about.
Why the hell didn't you see this coming down the track?
He wasn't scheduled to speak, sir. It was a last-minute thing.
It's like a shooting gallery, this country.
Marc, please calm down. The man says he has no interest in politics.
But let's say that's a sham. What does the smart man do? He gets out in front of the problem, calls a convention, and ratifies his leadership. The nation needs stability.
A cockroach can live for 9 days without its head.
Why wait? You have the delegates.
Are they out of the house?
They're packing as we speak.
Well, they all seem to love you, my son. You're a palpable hit.
Not with you, I take it.
Oh, I thought it was a masterful piece of bullshit. And apparently, all off the cuff.
Well, if you can call an entire lifetime off the cuff, I guess it was.
They're going to ask you to run.
Over my dead body.
Over your father's dead body, you mean?
How have you managed to keep it a secret for so long?
What?
The fact that you're a battle axe.
La bonhomie de Bordeaux, mon fils. Is it just me? Or is this bum's rush slightly unseemly?
You were only ever a tenant.
True. But I've never been evicted before. And I can't say it agrees with me. He was no saint. We both know that. But underneath it all, he loved us.
That was Ryan. He's in with provisions, but yeah, he'd back a run.
That opens the door in the Maritimes.
And with McConnell, that opens another one in the West.
We can do this, guys. If we can get him to run, put him in the sling, we could be talking about our next prime minister here.
Yes, this is the new editorial policy, and I want it applied to all my assets. That includes the conventional broadcaster, the specialty channels, and the 203 newspapers. Water is the only story. Pound the hell out of it.
The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency released figures today suggesting that the drought in the U.S. heartland is at its worst.
Polar ice cap is at its thinnest since the last ice age, according to a report tabled by the
The Northwest Passage theoretically open to heavy shipping, concerns are being raised about Canada's capacity.
For clarity's sake, I must stress to this review that the body in water will float face down. Blood will rush into the wounds, which will be naturally washed clean by the water, which makes it impossible to determine
whether the wounds were post or peri-mortem. Further analysis of the organ tissue.
Thank you. That's enough. I have no abiding interest in knowing the contents of my husband's stomach. No, Tom. The liberating thing about being the wife of a dead politician is that one no longer has to engage in hypocrisy or accept condolences from a corrosive little shit like you, Marc. And since you have unceremoniously elected to kick me out of my house, you'll have to excuse me. I've got bags to pack.
Well, I'm sure that was as pleasant for you as it was for me. But I thank you nonetheless. It's a much appreciated courtesy.
Well, that's the least we could do, sir. If there's anything else.
I don't think so. Although, I suppose I should take your cards. FIT?
Forensic investigation team, sir.
Thank you, Sergeant Collins.
Tom, your father. He's the reason I'm no longer a subaltist. He was a great man. You know how I feel.
No, Marc, can't say that I do. You kicked this great man's wife out of her house with barely enough time to pack.
Spectra found a trace deposit under the gunnel in the midsection.
Did you match blood type?
Yeah, same type as Manzel's, but wasn't a gushering like that. I'm talking teeny weeny.
So it could have been a paper cut, a broken blister. It tells us nothing, right?
Tells us she was in the boat.
Sergeant Collins?
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi.
Don Pritchard, CSIS. Look, I really don't want to step on anybody's toes here, but they want us to check and make sure there's no jurisdictional overlaps.
Understand? We're looking at an accident that resulted in one confirmed drowning and one presumed.
Nothing out of line? Hematology, prints, tissue? Really nothing.
I think you just might be stepping on the toes there, Don.
I hear you. I'll step out. Mind if I check in with you? Time to time?
Oh, be my guest.
Appreciate it. Good hunting.
I just hate those spooks.
Me too. We don't call them spooks anymore. We call them freaks.
You can see it, sir. You can see it as well as we can. The country's drifting. It's wounded.
TSX is down 700 plus as of today, and the dollar shaking like an old lady.
We've been checking the poll numbers, sir, and they're unbelievable, even on crosstabs. You hit a home run in that charge.
That's what we need. This country needs a home run.
I appreciate your enthusiasm, guys. But for all you know, I could be another Tupper.
Tupper?
He was PM in the 1800s, lasted 2 months and 7 days.
As I would not be a slave, so I would not be a master.
Abraham Lincoln.
You make a great case, guys, but I'm not your man. Sorry.
Hi, it's Sergeant Collins for Tom McLaughlin.
Come in, Sergeant. It's not quite the official residence, but we call it home. How do you find fingerprints if something's been underwater?
We put it in a vacuum chamber and mist it with gold dust. It raises the ridge patterns.
But you only found one set of prints, and Jackman said that he passed the paddle to Mansell, who in turn passed it to my father.
Jackman cleared the polygraph, sir.
Why weren't Mansell's prints on the paddle?
Maybe she was wearing gloves or, long cuffs.
You like a mystery, don't you?
Is that a segue or a conclusion?
It's neither. I asked you here because I wanted to thank you for your contributions to the review, in particular for the details you chose to omit. I refer to Ms. Mansell. In my father's lexicon, canoe trip had a unique definition. It's not something my mother needs to know about, so thank you.
Are you going to run, sir?
For public office, you mean? Oh, I don't think so. You can vote for me.
Well, I thought the tribute to your father was very moving.
Doesn't mean you vote for me. Do you even vote?
I could be persuaded.
I see. And would that persuasion be a difficult undertaking?
Not if you stay on message.
Are you saying I could put a sign on your lawn?
If I had a lawn, yes, you could.
So in the interests of healing our country's wounds, I will request the national executive of our party to call a leadership convention at the earliest possible convenience. Okay. Merci beaucoup.
Mr. Lavigne, why is he deciding to call it?
Well, you got what you wanted.
Did I?
Oh, please. I'm your mother.
As I recall, you were the one who didn't want to move.
God help you.
Roger.
It's McLaughlin. Get yourself some heavy-duty sneakers. We're gonna run.
We welcome those viewers just tuning in to what is proving to be one of the most exciting conventions in many years. To put you in the picture, Gary Clyburn has just pulled out of the race, freeing his some 280 delegates. Charles Amore, what does that do to our projections?
Well, Michael, we have three men standing. Marc Lavigne, Cam Ritchie, and Tom McLaughlin. And the spread is very close, making Clyburn's withdrawal critical. It frees up 280 delegates.
All right. There's over 280 votes out there, people, and every one of them's up for grabs. Let's go, go, go. Let's do it. Come on.
I think we can safely say those liberated delegates will have no trouble finding a date tonight, Abby Klein.
No, Michael. They're everyone's favorite drink right now. And in my experience, that drink is 3 parts seduction and 2 parts arm twisting.
For a second. Stop thinking about this guy and listen to what I'm saying to you. This real engrossment, that's 5 more.
Potentially 622. This is insane.
This is totally out of control.
Who's your daddy?
It's a madhouse out there.
Let them, those boys, run it. It's what they do.
I might win.
And then what?
I love him because he's a full head of hair. And he's just like the country's most eligible bachelor. And he's a virgin. But not in that way, in the you know. virgin.
Youth and vigor versus age and experience. Anthony, isn't that about the way you see the fault line?
Well, yes, I do, Michael. And certainly the youth vote and McLaughlin's convincing by-election victory supports that. But there's another factor at play here, and that's the odium that lingers around Lavigne's separatist past.
Odium. I'll give him some goddamn odium.
Marc, please stop this.
What do you want? You want me on my hands and knees begging to Cam Rich here, man that spits at the sight of me?
Leave Richie to me. When we need him, we'll reel him in.
The race.
Hey, it's Collins.
I was wondering when you'd call. What have you got?
It's what I don't have that's bothering me. I went to a second opinion on pathology. My guy won't commit. It's an open door. There's only one set of prints on the paddle, and they belong to Jackman.
Want to send me those reports?
Why don't I just bring them to you?
I've been doing a little digging myself. Look at this. Our man, Jackman, and just a river guide. The man is hardcore.
Can you repeat that, Michael? It's pretty loud down here on the floor.
Are you sensing a shift in momentum?
Shift. The excitement in the McLaughlin camp is crazy.
Charles, put us in the picture.
Well, Michael, our unofficial head count has McLaughlin carrying most of Clyburn's delegates, which would give him something around 39%. And Lavigne is sitting at 42.
It's close, no question. Is Richie in the driver's seat, Abby?
I would say so. The big question is, what does Cam Ritchie want?
This isn't going to come cheap. Richie is a man of integrity. That's just a polite way of saying kick me. He's a typical wasp. Lots of buzz, no sting.
Lavine's making a move on Richie.
Okay, so we got the job. You gotta make Richie a counteroffer.
No, not an offer, a question. Okay, what does he want? And if he wants the store, you give it to him.
I was thinking fisheries.
What fish?
Defense.
What army?
Finance.
What money?
You know, Cam, a man is the sum of his compromises. You can't play the game if you're standing on the sidelines.
You know how this is supposed to go, right? In exchange for your support, I'm supposed to offer you a cabinet post. I'm not going to do that. Then why should I support you? Because I'm not going to do that.
Jackman said they tipped in here. That's where they found the Prime Minister's body in that eddy over there. 25 times I've done this, and this dummy's the exact same proportions as the PM, but it never ends up there.
25 times you've done this.
Yep.
And as yet, there's still no word from Richie's camp.
I have to break in here, Michael. I see Cam Ritchie's headed this way. Mr. Ritchie, what can you tell us?
Well, Monsieur Lavigne's parliamentary record speaks for itself. But you know, Brenda, sometimes we forget this is about democracy. And democracy is not a political machine. It's an attitude of the mind.
Are you saying Lavigne offered you a backroom deal, sir?
I'm saying my heart goes to the honest man, always has. And I believe the democratic attitude of mind honestly burns inside Tom McLaughlin.
You told me he could be bought.
So I made a mistake.
You sold me down the river.
Politics is a rough game.
The McLaughlin team is understandably excited, Michael. Cam Ritchie's endorsement gives them a fighting chance here, but of course it all comes down to the ballot box.
This hall is about to explode. Charles.
It's too close to call, Michael. 40 or 50 votes will decide this thing.
Yes, you'll have to go all the way back to 1919 to find a leadership contest this close. But Mackenzie King defeated Fielding by a margin of only 38 votes.
Not exactly living large, is he?
If you're looking for Teddy, you're out of luck. And like, it's not even hunting season.
And where does he go in hunting season?
He's got a camp outside of Madawaska. Or so he says. You find him, shoot him for me. I'll even pay.
Ladies and gentlemen, mesdames et messieurs, the results of the vote. Le résultat. Marc Lavigne, 892. Tom McLaughlin, 1,001.
Congratulations, gentlemen. The boat is in the water. You're here. Cheers.
I, Thomas David McLaughlin, do solemnly and sincerely promise and swear that I will truly and faithfully, and to the best of my skill and knowledge, execute the powers and trusts reposed in me.
He filled his mouth with water and inserted the rifle. The bullet displaced the water, and the water displaced his brain.
GSR positive.
No bruising, no chips. Nobody forced that barrel into his mouth.
Left a note.
Marc?
Not me. No, I don't. I just... For God's sake, look at me.
Maybe you could try tomorrow.
Agenda and a very short mandate, so I'm going to dispense with formalities and we will dive right in. Jim?
What you have in front of you represents the executive slate for the next 30 days.
Coded by department and accompanied by timeline.
I will deal with details on an individual basis as we move forward. But today I would like to jump on a couple of hot button issues. First up is Orizak Trust and those charming mafiosi from Belarus. Where is my Solicitor General, Marc Lavigne? Well, let's pray to God it's not terminal. I'll throw this over to finance. Cam, do we have these mobsters in a box?
Yes, we do, sir. Under C-22, Chapter 17, Proceeds of Crime Act.
Merveilleux. Let's pull the trigger. As of tomorrow, end of day, all assets of Orizak Trust will be frozen and seized. Any objections? Good. Next, the Ungava Compact. Now, this was one of my father's better pieces of legislation, and I failed to understand why it is sitting on a shelf.
I believe it got bogged down at the regulation stage.
Shouldn't have been. It's good for the First Nations. It's good for the country. So it's coming off the shelf. All orders in council relating to PC 1321 will be enacted, and I want them gazetted by this time tomorrow. Any objections? Good. Next, the one issue that will undoubtedly kill us all. Healthcare.
Prime Minister McLaughlin tabled an ambitious agenda that recalls much of his father's
Transaction represents a major breakthrough for the First Nation.
The assets of Orizak Trust should be funneled through general revenue, but McLaughlin bypassed that law by writing a check in the same amount to the
Nice
National...
move, Tom. About time the good guys got their piece of the pie.
President Monroe will be calling at 0810 to confirm details of our first state visit.
Meeting Kofi Annan at the UN at 0930, sir. Just a purely social visit, just a meet and greet.
All right, thanks, Jim. Gather around, guys. This is as far as you go. I'm gonna make some changes. Cars will take you back to the office. On your desk, you'll find 3 postings options. Consuls General, your choice. Compensation more than agreeable.
But we won.
This isn't personal, guys. It's just governance. Friends are friends. Business is business. Sorry, fellas.
There was a major shakeup at the PMO today as the Prime Minister replaced his chief advisors. Incoming staff include Deirdre Mills, a recent media advisor to Tony Blair, Nate Morgan, a specialist in corporate turnaround, and Doug McKay, who lately mediated for the World Bank on third world debt relief.
The country also has a new clerk of the Privy Council, the office that oversees the vast civil service.
I'd like to extend my gratitude to the Prime Minister and underline my dedication to smoothing relations between the bureaucracy, the public service, and our elected officials.
We use 500 times the water than the average Swiss citizen, 1,000 times that of someone in Pakistan.
Let's face it, people, we are water pigs.
Speaking on behalf of the company, a spokesman said that the manufacture of one computer microchip required 500 gallons of water.
But if the municipality can't guarantee the water supply, they may be
Albertan oil producers, Albertan ranchers, toe-to-toe, and it's all about against
Water is the theme that dominates the agenda of the Burnham Woods Institute, a gathering of the world's wealthy and powerful.
Almost 400 million acres are in drought. 80% of China's rivers are unfit for human consumption, and 50% of her cities are in water shortage. To underscore the problem, the Yellow River didn't reach the sea for 253 days last year.
The bullet removed the soft palate that entered the cranial cavity and shredded the brainstem.
So cause of death is gunshot?
Why, yes, of course. But he was going to die anyway. You see these string formations?
Whoa, repeat that. String formations?
Yeah, string formations on the liver.
Well, that's from drinking, right?
Is he drunk? I'm sure he was. But this is cancer. Terminal. 2 months at the outside.
Okay. Jackman had the cancer, Leah. The guy was dying.
Thanks.
I will choose the time and place of my own demise. It's an odd word, demise. It's almost antique.
Graphology has confirmed it as his handwriting.
And there's still no sign of the woman's body?
Madeline Manzel. No, not yet, sir.
Filled with remorse, dying anyway. Makes sense, I guess. So, this is... Oh, what is that hideous word we overuse these days? Closure.
Well, if such a thing is possible.
The downside, of course, is that you will no longer visit me. That made you uncomfortable?
Not entirely, Prime Minister.
Would you mind not doing that?
What, sir?
Calling me Prime Minister. It's very bulky. I'm really not very good at this, am I?
By this, you mean?
Talking to you.
Oh, good men never are. Maybe it's just my gun.
You saying I'm gun shy? Maybe. I was married, you know. I'm not anymore. And I think it's largely my fault. I'm very driven and judgmental. Anyway, it ended poorly, so I may be a little gun shy. Yeah. Can I ask you about that scar?
I don't know you very well.
No, that's true. So, maybe you and I could... Sorry. Yeah.
The internal review's tabling their results, sir.
In spite of the review's conclusion that this tragedy was accidental, we have undertaken a number of measures. In addition to resignations and disciplinary action, we will begin implementation of the new security protocols as outlined in Appendix C of Justice Green's exhaustive report.
Look at your sister. She was so beautiful. Oh, God. Everyone I ever loved drowned.
It wasn't your fault.
That goddamn fool. I told him. Oh, God. I told him.
Eddie Jackman was the heart and soul of this place. Never said anything more than yes, sir, no, sir. Unless you had a few too many pops, like at the airborne reunion or whatever.
And then what?
I could show you. We made a tape.
Can I get a copy?
Well, it is a memorial tape. And memorial tapes, as a rule, don't come free. $25. Good cause. Help us with the new building.
Here.
I thought you might want to see the papers. And these are the calls from today.
No, sir.
Are you hungry?
The ungathered compact. Marie? Marie!
Yes?
These papers, were they delivered normally?
Hi.
I've got something you have to see.
VHS? It's gonna take a little doing.
You're a big reader.
Not particularly. Just seems that every man I've ever slept with has given me a book.
That's a lot of books.
How was the drive down?
Lonely.
Thanks.
Not big on relationships, are you?
I don't know if that's true. I had one that lasted for 9 years. And then I went to Kosovo, and I came back with stuff he couldn't live with, and he left me with stuff he didn't want, like this TV.
Some of that door is closed for good.
Closed, but not locked.
It's just up here.
That bastard Matthew McLaughlin, he destroyed the only family I had. He destroyed the airborne, right? The airborne! Yeah!
There. See him?
Jesus.
Don Pritchard, Canadian Security Intelligence Services.
What the hell's a freak doing with a river guide? Collins.
Oh, it's nice to hear that voice. Even nicer to see the mouth that voice is coming out of.
You're hilarious, Stever, but this is not a date. Now, what do you got for me?
For you, anything. Anything but Pritchard, that is. There's no one by that name on the payroll at CSIS. Not even on our dark list. Where'd this guy come from?
Stever, if I knew, I'd tell you.
It's not good enough, Leah.
Yeah, well, that's all I got. I'll be in touch. There's no one named Pritchard that works at CSIS.
Last time I was here was only 1,000.
Those Euchre Knights must be really raking it in, huh?
Not local, but he comes by some. At least he did up till Teddy snuffed it.
Do you happen to know what Mr. Pritchard did for a living?
Who is Pritchard?
What did he call himself?
Well, now this ain't no charity. $50. Worthy cause. Help us with the new building. Guy's name is Holt. Lieutenant Daniel Holt.
The Ungava Compact was McLaughlin Sr.'s pet project.
Yes, it was, and the PMO pushed it hard. It passed both houses without problem. Then it sat on the shelf.
But the regs and orders in council were written up, weren't they?
Yes, but they were red flagged and never implemented. The bill just sat there.
Until Tom the Younger dusted it off and signed all the OCs.
And here's where it gets kind of interesting. One of the main environmental negotiators on the bill was also the main architect of the orders in council.
Who?
Madeleine Manzel, the woman presumed to have drowned.
Marie, are my black suits back from the cleaners?
How's this for an idea? What do you say we clear some of the rhetorical shit off the table? The mother of all bills is coming due, and it has a name. It is called health care. And no matter what you as the Premier of Ontario or you as the Premier of Quebec claim publicly, we all know that you are running deficits in double digits. Your fiscal houses make Uganda look flush. Eventually, you're going to turn to me. Well, my friends, the bank is empty.
So you brought us here for abuse?
No. I invited you here to propose a way out. Two birds with one stone. Healthcare equals hydroelectricity plus X.
And what's X?
We share a common resource, one that could provide us all with sustainable wealth. But we will have to be brave.
Are you talking about water? The voters would kill us and the First Nations would carve us up.
I believe you are all familiar with Grand Chief Blackfire of the Assembly of First Nations.
It's nice to be finally at the table.
Oh, it's just a security precaution. We none of us leave this table until we have an agreement, at least in principle.
Cut to the chase. Tell me about Order in Council 1451.
Well, as I read it, from now on, anytime a federal project involves First Nations land, the requirement for environmental impact assessment is minimal.
Minimal as in?
Minimal isn't gone. As long as the contractor has native partners, they don't have to do environmental impact studies.
Who the hell would allow that?
Well, nobody in their right mind, and that's why Matthew McLaughlin red flagged it. But here's the thing. When his son took it off the shelf the other day, all of Manzel's original wording stayed. Nothing was changed, not one word. And the effect is... Take a look at one order in Council 3-2102. It assigns a joint federal-provincial contract for the construction of a hydro corridor to a company called Cantron Steel.
Where is this hydro corridor?
Northern Quebec, and it runs through Cree Nation lands. Now, because of the Ongava Compact, it's not obligated to the usual environmental impact studies.
These specifications make no sense. 300 yards wide, 60 feet deep, and the whole thing to be fenced. This is not a hydro corridor.
Then what is it, Minister?
I have no idea. This is not for hydroelectricity.
Okay, here we go. Department of National Defense, Army Service Records, Holt D. Lieutenant. Peacekeeping tours in Cyprus, Kosovo.
Kosovo? Jesus.
Special Ops Training, 22nd SAS Herefordshire. Second into JTF2. Oh, God.
What?
Don Pritchard, a.k.a. Daniel Holt, was involved in a car bombing in Kabul 3 years ago. Listed as KIA.
Wait a minute. Our guy is a dead guy?
Officially, our guy is a dead guy.
Marc!
What's wrong?
This stupid machine, it's all pop-ups. Then I click and more pop-ups.
Tempe.
What is the IJC?
It's the International Joint Commission, I think.
They regulate boundary waters, no?
Yeah. They oversee things like the Great Lakes, for example. It's bilateral. It's U.S. and Canada. We appoint 3, they appoint 3. Has there been anyone in the house today?
No, just me. Is something wrong?
It's Marc. Can you send someone from IT over here? I've got a computer problem. Also, can you pull out the recent appointments to the International Joint Commission? Thank you.
What's happening?
I don't know.
I checked out the IJC appointments. 2 of them were meaningless. The third, Alec Davies, that's a different story.
Wasn't Davies a consultant on the free trade negotiations back in the 80s?
He was there when water fell off the table. After that, he took over as CEO for a company called International Water and Power.
That's an American company, huh?
Traded on the big board. Davies built the company up and left it last year, no parachute.
International Water and Power has secured future contracts on water supply to 23 municipalities in the U.S. Sunbelt. Find me someone in environment. Someone we can trust. Someone in the basement.
You let the UGG know that we're sympathetic to the grain subsidy. Oh, and here's a Lulu. $15 million for a Museum of Dental Implements. Bounce that one back to Heritage. So how's are we playing out there?
You've got several tracking poles in your desk, sir. It's looking good. The ground is soft, the water issue's playing. I think we're in pretty good shape.
And when do we bring in the U.S.?
I say we wait till the state visit.
There is one other concern, sir. We've been crunching the calendar, and we're getting worried about the timeline. And by law, your father's mandate runs out in 6 months. We don't think that 6 months is enough time to get everything done.
You're saying we might have to call an election?
It's a possibility.
You know, an outstanding homosexual once said that democracy simply means the bludgeoning of the people, by the people, for the people. Let's do a little bludgeoning.
You're up?
I never sleep.
Me neither.
What's wrong?
I was just with your father. I was with him in the water.
I don't know how much you know about water, sir, but what I know is that we are all downstream. We are the only nation on the planet that has refused to ratify water as a human right at the UN Human Rights Commission. Strange, huh? Maybe not so strange if you take a snapshot of North America. This is the breadbasket of the U.S. It is fed by the Ogallala Aquifer, 580,000 square miles of an underground lake left after the last ice age. Now, back in 1914, there were less than 1,000 drills mining that water. Today, there are over 200,000. The water table is dropping by 6 meters per year. It'll dry up in 10 years. Moving west, virtually every river has been dammed or diverted. They're all drying up, and the reservoirs are filling up with silt. You see, water is a zero-sum game. If you're running out, you basically only have 4 choices. Find another source, reduce consumption, lower the population, or steal it. Our current trade agreements made theft legal. Back to source. Something else would have to feed the breadbasket, like the Mississippi River or the Missouri, but they in turn have to be fed, which brings us to the Great Lakes. But you can't just drain the Great Lakes, so you look further north where you find James Bay. It was called the Grand Canal Project. The plans were drawn up in the 60s. Build a causeway across the top, divert the rivers into the bay, force the salt water out, convert this into a freshwater reservoir the size of Lake Superior, build a corridor to pump this fresh water over the shield into the Great Lakes, drain the Great Lakes, feed the breadbasket. Oh, it doesn't stop here. The whole 49th parallel is lining up. Lake of the Woods over to Lake Winnipeg, to the Rafferty Alameda Dam, to the Old Man Dam, and finally, the Fraser Watershed. It's one big reservoir waiting to be drained. But thank Christ it's never going to happen, right? I mean, you'd have to be some kind of evil genius to pull that one off. Because first you'd have to secure the water contracts to pay for it, and you'd have to find a way around the environmental impact assessments, and then
You'd have to stack the International Joint Commission.
Yeah. Like that's ever gonna happen.
Analysis confirms that the rock fragments in Manzel's skull came from the river.
Mm-hmm. What else?
Well, we ran the bone marrow for diatoms. We didn't find any.
None?
None. She was dead before she hit the water. Blunt force trauma to the back of the head. Very strong blow.
There were 3 people in that canoe.
Jackman had rock caved in the back of Manzel's head.
The Prime Minister panicked, tried to jump out of the canoe.
Jackman caught him, held him underwater till he was dead.
This is now a murder investigation.
I had no choice but to keep the cabinet in the dark. The emotions that swirl around the issue of water are so primal they preclude reasonable debate. But I implore you, Marc, look at it rationally. We are still a nation that hews wood and draws water. There isn't a thing that we don't pull out of the earth, hack off the ground, haul out of the oceans that we don't sell.
We don't sell water.
Bullshit, we don't. We sell 200 million liters of bottled water into the United States every year. We treat it as a commodity. And next month, a grievance will come before the NAFTA tribunal claiming just that.
And under NAFTA, if something is considered a commodity, it can't be withheld from market.
It's a bullet to the head. And they're probably going to win, and there is nothing any government can do about it. I didn't make this bed, Marc, but it is the one I sleep in. From free trade to GATT to WTO to NAFTA, it is a straight line to this conversation and no fucking around. In 2 weeks, the EPA will release a report revising their estimate for when the Ogallala Aquifer runs dry downward to 8 years. They will need water, and when they need it, they will take it. And that puts us in the shitter, unless we can do a deal now. dictate the terms, manage the resource, and exact a price that will sustain this nation into the future, because the alternative, there is no fucking alternative. We could tell the truth. It's not an alternative. That's a failure of leadership.
You know, your father used to love this park. We often come here when there were big decisions to be made. Never talked, just walked.
I'm counting on you, Mark.
Mark, for the love of God, is nothing sacred. We are talking about water.
And so is every newspaper, and TV station, and radio station. You think they stumbled across this idea on their own? No. It was handed to them. McLaughlin has framed the question, and the question is this. Your neighbor is thirsty. Would you deny him a glass of water?
No, I won't deny him a glass of water, but I will give him a glass of water, not sell him a glass of water. It's the core of life. How can that become a commodity? If a country, any country, Mark, opens that door cannot be closed. That country will be lost.
You're hysterical.
Damn you, Mark. You're going to let him do this?
We've been partners for 22 years. If you think I'm just going to roll over for Tom McLaughlin, then we've wasted a lot of time together. But I can't just snap my fingers, Marie. He's the Prime Minister. And if he wakes up tomorrow morning and decides our official language is Swedish, we'll be speaking Swedish by lunch. His approval rating is in the 80s. He controls the civil service. That's a lot of leverage. Me? I have what? The courts? The government can't sue the government.
You can bring the government down.
For that, I need votes. To win a non-confidence, I need all the opposition and a lot of my own party. I don't have that many friends.
What about this informant, this person who leaves you these notes?
I don't even know who he or she is or what side they're on. No, I'm alone. And these politics are lethal.
So in the end, it's only about politics.
In the end, there is only politics.
Find anything on Menzel?
That river is like God's washing machine. We got nothing on her clothes, nothing on her shoes. But we got her wallet. It contains the usual stuff. And hey, this. A clipping. From the Far Eastern Economic Review, no less. So we run it minus 200 degrees. Like magic, the ice crystals in the paper turn into voila.
Is there any way we can enhance this photo?
Not with a water mold, but you know the name of the publication and the date, so you could access their archives.
Tom McLaughlin and Madeline Menzel.
Health and Welfare is reporting an avian flu outbreak in southern Saskatchewan, but believe it's contained.
And the West Wing wants to firm up the agenda for the DC visit.
And finally, there's something we think you should see, sir.
It's a copy of the Menzel autopsy. The contents are disturbing.
Jesus. Jesus Christ. Determination of death, blunt force trauma to the back of the... This woman didn't drown. This woman was... How did we get a hold of this?
A secure source. No one on the investigating team knows we have this.
Okay, just give me a minute here.
Thomas David McLaughlin. It's all or nothing, Tom. There is no plausible deniability.
And swear.
He was no saint. We both know that.
They killed me. They took my father and they drowned him.
But underneath it all, he loved us.
Hi. I'm sorry I kept you waiting, and I hope this didn't seem like a summons, or... Can I, would you...
Like a drink?
Yes, thank you. So, what does your night hold, Sergeant?
I'm thinking about a romantic evening. You know, maybe dinner for one, a little wine. Who knows, I might get lucky.
Well, you could accompany me to a dinner at the Chinese embassy.
I don't think that would be a wise career move, sir.
No. No, probably not. God, who designs these things? They're diabolical.
May I?
I understand you found Manzel's body. That must be grisly.
It is. What's the word? Onomatopoeia. That's what a corpse is, I think. And I can't help wondering what she was like when she was alive. Was she kind? Was she funny?
I wouldn't know. I never met her. Thank you. And so what were the results, anyway, of the autopsy, I mean?
Well, it's not complete yet, but all the evidence is pointing towards accidental drowning.
Well, you won't be missing anything tonight. The Chinese ambassador, I'm told, only has one sentence in English, which is, your country is beautiful, and I have only one sentence in Cantonese, which is, Wa hun shi wa da pao.
What does that mean?
Means, I'm going to shoot my cannon. She lied. And I lied. This is a dirty, shitty game.
The black dog of politics finally has you by the throat.
I am well and truly caught.
Just like your father.
It was not quite the same. Take the worst thing my father ever did, and then add on. Then add on some more, and keep adding on. Even then, you won't get close.
I don't understand you.
As long as I run this shop, you never will. It's my burden. It's not yours.
Well, another 25,000.
It's a simple question, Etienne. $25,000 twice. Who made the donations?
It's called an anonymous donation because it's anonymous. They faxed instructions, and the money was wired directly into the trust account.
But no conditions.
Only one. When the new hall opens, it's called the Jackman branch.
Give me the transit number. It's in. Give me the bank it came from, or I will make your life a goddamn nightmare.
If this leaves my office, the Law Society will kill me.
Where's your fax machine?
The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency released discouraging statistics today.
Continues to plague America's heartland, where water rationing is in force in over 32 counties. Many expect...
Minister McLaughlin was in Washington for a state visit today. He and President Monroe met for more than 2 hours.
I'm proud to announce that our country has a new friend. Someone we can do business with. We talked about the war on terror. We talked about our mutual security. And I made a personal appeal to the Prime Minister regarding the drought that is currently choking our heartland. He has agreed to consider a one-time only emergency measure whereby we would take a tiny, and I mean a tiny portion of our shared Great Lakes and get it to those folks who desperately need it.
And so it begins.
It's for you. Sir, I need your help.
A river guide with terminal cancer who has since committed suicide. Had a grudge against the Prime Minister and killed him. And his mistress, Carlius.
There's more, sir.
There's more.
Tom McLaughlin told me he had never met Ms. Mansell. That's Madeline Mansell on the right in that photo. It was taken in Wuhan in central China. It's a signing ceremony for the Three Gorges Dam project. Tom McLaughlin was working as a consultant for the World Bank, and Ms. Mansell had written a series of environmental disclaimers on loan conditions for a company called Cantron Steel.
Cantron Steel. You realize what we're talking about, don't you? Only a couple $100 billion in the future of a country. Madeline Mansell wrote a series of regulations for a bill that would have paved the way for a massive project to sell water south. But the regulations were red flagged, probably by McLaughlin Sr., and the bill was never implemented. And then one day he takes her on a canoe trip. Why?
Can't just be for sex.
No. He needs to talk to her.
Not just her. Those who are working above her.
You're right. The canoe trip was just a pretext. He was trying to send her puppet masters a message.
A warning.
Then he dies.
Gets killed.
Killed, Jesus.
And his son rises.
And the whole scheme is alive and cooking.
Kicking, sir.
And what? Kicking. I'm gonna have to push McLaughlin and see where this leads.
What's your guess, sir?
I don't know. There was a fanatic one time, an English fanatic. He said, "Necessity hath no law." He beheaded a king.
Did this man, Jackman, did he act alone?
We don't believe so. Another man keeps cropping up.
Lieutenant Daniel Holt. He was Jackman's superior in the airborne regiment, but he introduced himself to me as a CSIS agent.
Is he with CSIS?
No, sir. Bolef is out on him now, but Army records indicate that he died in Afghanistan 3 years ago.
There is a word for this, is there not?
Yes, there is, Prime Minister. It's called assassination.
You know, this house we're in was built in 1866 by Joseph Merrill Currier. He was a lumberman, served as an MP. He built it as a wedding present for his wife. He christened it Gorfwisfa, which I am told is a Welsh word that means peace. If I go public with this, I could drive them underground. If I don't...
Sir, if I could suggest...
I'm not looking for advice, Sergeant. The time for that is past. What I need now is loyalty and support. Do I have yours? And do I have yours, Marc?
Without reservation, Prime Minister.
Thank you. If you would be so kind. Shall we?
Moments away from the Prime Minister's address to the nation, and we will, of course, take you there when that address begins. The contents of tonight's speech is the...
Detective Duguay. Don Pritchard. CSIS. Good to see you again.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Prime Minister of Canada.
My fellow Canadians, good evening. Bonsoir. Moments ago, I was informed by the Solicitor General of Canada that there is reason to suspect my father may have been assassinated.
My father?
Do you think you were playing in a sandbox?
My father? Measures had to be taken.
For the greater good.
I am my father's son, and I will drag you all to the very bottom of the ocean.
As a son, my grief knows no words. Comme Premier Ministre, ma responsabilité est claire.
We're all underwater. You think you alone will float? It's all or nothing, Tom. You can't back out now. There is no plausible deniability.
Impossible. The Tigers would mark you so the follow-up teams would know which ones to kill, and they would mark you with an X right here, like this.
Consider yourself marked. Under no circumstances will I allow the sovereignty and integrity of our great nation to be imperiled. Your government will meet this threat with all the resources at its disposal. I am the Prime Minister of Canada. You are just businessmen. All of this, everything we wanted to achieve could have been achieved without your fucking stupidity! From now on, I run everything, and I do mean everything, and that includes your man in the field, this assassin. From here on in, from now on, I call the shots.
What are you going to do?
Watch me. To this end, I will invoke Article 3 of the Emergencies Act. These war measures will be in place for a period of 120 days.